Hello there, this is the Shadow Ranger. I want to talk about two topics in this video. One's really short, the other one's going to be a bit controversial. Real quick, I got a question from Jay Hobson. He asked me if I thought WWE would hire Jay Lethal, and he asked me how I would book Jay Lethal in the WWE. Gotta be honest, Jay Hop, I gave this one some thought. I came up with nothing. To answer the first question, no, I do not believe that the WWE will hire Jay Lethal. WWE is already crowded enough. They have a full Raw roster, a full SmackDown roster, NXT, FCW, Tough Enough is going on. They have more people than they need. And I don't really see his place for Jay Lethal in the WWE. There's nothing he can do in the WWE that they don't already have someone else that can do it. So as far as WWE picking up Jay Lethal, I seriously doubt it. I will legitimately be shocked and surprised if he gets signed by the WWE. As far as how would I book him in the WWE, I got nothing. I looked through. There's nobody on the WWE roster that I would be interested in seeing Jay Lethal wrestle. I mean, if he comes to WWE, you know he's gonna go to FCW for a while. He's too small to be a world champion, so that's not gonna happen. He could maybe go for like the US or IC titles, but there's plenty of people already on the roster to do that with. Like I said, anything Jay Lethal can do, they already have someone else who could do it just as well, possibly better. I look at the WWE roster. I honestly don't see a single person on the roster that I look at and say I would really like to see this person wrestle Jay Lethal. Put him in a tag team or use him as enhancement talent. I got nothing. Alright, on to the main topic of this video. Something that sticks out to me, and it's kind of been brought to the forefront with this Alberto Del Rio versus Christian match coming up. And I said my prediction, I don't see Christian winning. Maybe just for the feel-good moment because Edge retiring, but I just have never seen Christian as world champion material. And there's so many people I come across where saying that certain guys should be in the main event picture, should be in the world title picture, that I think are just insane. Like, no, these dudes are not world title material. So I decided I would do my comprehensive list. I have the WWE roster page open and the TNA roster page open. I'm going to go through both pages and tell you all the guys that I feel are not world title material, and I will tell you why. I'm going to start with TNA because this one's going to get me the most flack. So, Alex Shelley, Amazing Red, Brian Kendrick, Chris Sabin, Eric Young, Generation Me, looking through the roster. Shannon Moore. All for the same reason. Too small. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but I feel they're too small to be considered to be a world champion. Maybe if you got rid of all, if you did got rid of all the big guys on the roster, but that's not gonna happen, and those dudes are too little to be believable world champion. It's kind of like when Rey Mysterio was the world champion in WWE. When you got Big Show and Kane and Cena and Batista, you expect me to believe that Rey Mysterio is the world champion? It's not possible. And it's the same with these guys. You cannot show. I mean, to the internet smart crowd who loves these guys so much and want to see it, you could do it. But if you ever want to present TNA to a larger audience, if you ever want to grow the audience by drawing in the casual fans, the X Division guys, most of them cannot be world champion. You cannot have a roster full of guys. You can't show the average person the TNA roster and show them guys like Abyss, Crimson, Hernandez, Kurt Angle, Matt Morgan, Rob Terry, and Samoa Joe, Scott Steiner. You cannot show them a roster of guys who look like those guys and then expect that person to believe that Alex Shelley is your world champion. It's just simply not believable. And I know a lot of you love these guys, but Sabin, Shelley, any of these guys, these X Division guys, primarily X Division guys, in the world as world champion is just simply not believable. Alex Shelley cannot be your world champion. If you want to be, if you want your company to be a major company, and you want to draw in the average viewer, and you want to be taken seriously as a competitor, the way TNA wants to be, those dudes are simply too small to be your world champion. It's just not believable. Shelley can't be your champion. Red can't be your champion. Brian Kendrick, Chris Sabin, Jay Lethal, although he just got released, Generation Me, they can be X Division champions. Kazarian I thrown in the list too. I just don't find it believable. And I know you're gonna bring up some guys like Jeff Hardy is a small guy, yeah, but Jeff Hardy got so freakingly huge over. Yeah, if you can make one of those dudes as over as Jeff Hardy, and even he's bigger than some of these X Division guys, I just don't buy it. I had a hard time buying Jeff Hardy as a world champion. AJ's just big enough. Daniels, I think, can pull it off and look credible, but the Machine Guns ain't gonna be your world champion. So just get that pipe dream out there. I know there's people who want to jump and say the Machine Guns should be in the world title picture, the main event scene. No, they should not. They're X Division spot monkeys. They don't really cut that good promos, and they're simply too little for the average person to believe that they're a world champion. When there's guys like, guys like a bit that look like Abyss, like Crimson, like Rob Terry, like Hernandez, like Matt Morgan on your roster. No one's gonna believe that there's someone that's small and thin is the world champion. Anyone else I want to look at here on the TNA roster that I just feel like isn't world title material? Now there's guys who need work, or a gimmick change, and might be able to get by. Also, I'm gonna have to throw in Orlando Jordan because, I hate to say it, but he is bisexual, and that's gonna hurt people. Some people aren't gonna accept that. So, unfortunately for Orlando, he's gonna have to deal with that. Now, some other guys I think could clearly be world champions. They might need a gimmick change and a lot more development to get them ready. Robert Roode, Robbie E, Rob Terry, although that'll never happen. He actually get better in the ring. Anderson, he's believable. Jesse Neal with a gimmick change. James Storm with a gimmick change. I think Daniels could pull it off. The Pope could pull it up, could do it pretty easily. Maybe Doug Williams. I have a hard time even buying Doug Williams as a credible world champion myself. I don't know. If he won the world title tomorrow, I just don't think it would be believable. I think that's all the people I want to point out on the TNA roster. If there's somebody I forgot, I might come back. Mention some people in the comments section, and I'll come back to it. Switching over to the WWE roster. What hurts a lot of the WWE guys is the same thing, especially the younger dudes. What I keep saying about the younger guys, the youth movement guys, is that they're all so boring. They're not given any chance or opportunity to display any type of unique or interesting personality trait. Also, some guys just don't have the look. Starting at the top of the page, Alex Riley, Chavo, Christian. I know a lot of people are going to give me flat for that. I've always liked Christian, but Christian has just never struck me as world champion. Christian has never I've never seen him as the type of guy that you could put on the poster next to John Cena and say, this is the main event for WrestleMania, and it looks believable. I just don't see Christian as a believable champion. He might win the belt tomorrow. I'm against it. I just don't buy him as a world title material. It's just something he's missing. I don't know if it's just like the right look. He has skill, he has talent. It's just, I personally have just never bought him as world champion, as world title material. But there's guys in the WWE who I've never bought as world title material that have won the title. I would have never guessed that. I would have never predicted that CM Punk was going to be a world champion. Rey Mysterio. I think if Eddie Guerrero hadn't died, Rey would have never won a world title. Again, he's too little. Like I keep saying, when you got dudes that look like Big Show, Kane, Batista, Cena on your show, you can't expect me to believe that Rey Mysterio is the world champion. Going down the line here, Cody Rhodes could be if he bulked up a little bit. I'm not saying get on steroids, but maybe eat and try to work out a little bit and get a little thicker. Maybe it could work. Kurt Hawkins not gonna do it. Too boring. Daniel Bryan not gonna do it. Too boring. Also doesn't have the look. He doesn't look like a star. Again, same as like I said with Christian. I just don't see it as believable that you could put John Cena on one side of the WrestleMania poster and put Daniel Bryan on the other side as his opponent, and people buy it. He's a good wrestler, but he's dull as dirt. Ever since his original program with The Miz ended, he's been dull as dirt. Give the guy a personality, and we'll talk about it in a year or so. David Hart Smith, no. Otunga, actually, yeah. Again, it has a lot to do with the look. Otunga looks like a champion. He's a shitty wrestler. He's not that great on the mic, but he looks like $1 million. I mentioned to somebody in a had a back and forth with on some comments, and he was asking me my opinion of why David Otunga still has a job, and he says, is it just because of his famous wife? I said no, it's mainly his look, and that he has a famous wife. I was saying David Otunga looks like $1 million. He looks like a star. He looks like he should be in movies, starring in movies on the covers of magazines. You put David Otunga on the poster next to Cena, I believe it. I believe that guy could beat Cena. I don't believe he could beat Cena because I've seen him wrestle. He's awful, but he looks like he could beat John Cena. There's a lot that has to do with looks. When I always talk to people about that, about characters. Excuse me. About characters. Now, it's not just about your in-ring ability. A lot has to do with your character, and your look has a lot to do with that. David Otunga, as awful as he is in the ring, as awful as he is in the mag, as all around talentless as he really is, looks like $1 million. The guy I talked to compared him to Rob Terry, and that's a great comparison. That's what I keep saying about Rob Terry. Why he still has a job. Why TNA hasn't fired Rob Terry? Because he looks like $1 million. He looks like a star. He looks like he's the champion. The average person on the street, if they saw a picture of The Miz and a picture of Rob Terry, they think Rob Terry was the WWE champion. Rob Terry looks like he's the WWE champion. Rob Terry looks like he should be on the poster across from John Cena saying WrestleMania main event. He looks like a star. And I know a lot of people on the IWC hate that, but it is a large part. Hogan looked like a star. Savage looked like a star. The Rock looked like a star. Goldberg looked like a star. And you could cover for the wrestling ability. Yes, Goldberg was alright in the ring. Yes, The Rock was really good in the ring. Stone Cold was good in the ring. Macho Man was good in the ring. Hogan was all hype. Hogan's awful in the ring. But he looked like a great star. That's why he's one of the biggest of all time. The look is part of your character, and characters is what makes you a star in the WWE. That's why I feel so bad for a lot of these youth movement guys that they have no character. But going back to Otunga, he has the look. If you can, if somebody can work with Otunga and teach him to be passive, to be decent in the ring, if you can work with him and help him cut a good promo, he can main event WrestleMania in 3 years. He has the look. You can teach him to wrestle, take him off TV for a while, send him back to the FCW, get some people there to train this dude. You could train him to be passable, help him work on his mic skills, because his mic skills aren't awful. They're just not good. But he can practice, work on speaking, and be able to cut a good promo. If you get his wrestling ability up, he could be a star. He has the look. Like I said, he looks like a main event. If you put him on the poster across from John Cena that says WrestleMania main event, it looks believable. Going down the line, let's see here. Other dudes I see here on the WWE roster, I just don't see as world champion material. Iffy on Dolph Ziggler, since they stripped him of his dignity. They didn't just cut his hair and dye it black. They stripped Dolph Ziggler of his dignity, of his pride, of his manhood. Everything that made him Dolph Ziggler. It wasn't just a haircut. Who came up with, sidebar here. Whose idea was it to do this to Dolph Ziggler? At least he had something that made him stand out. At least he had his hair gave him somewhat of a unique look that made him stand out from the rest of the pack. Now he looks just like everybody else. He looks like Cody Rhodes. He looks like Daniel Bryan. He looks like Evan Bourne. He looks like Alex Riley. Who came up? Who made the call to cut Dolph Ziggler's hair short and dye his hair black? They could have dyed it green and it would have been better than this. He doesn't look bad. He just looks so generic. I feel so bad for poor Dolph Ziggler. Are they trying to bury him? I wonder if he's not going to get released. Maybe they're trying to just... God, you stripped him of his dignity, man. I don't get it. Everything that made him at least stand out. Everything that made him stand out from the pack. Everything that made him look the slightest bit like unique. I mean, he still didn't have much of a character, but he had Vicky to get his heat for him. But even now, it's even hard for Vicky to get heat for him because he just looks so generic and dull. God damn it, what did they do to Dolph Ziggler, man? I was really getting into this guy for a while. I don't know. But any shot he had that could have made him a credible world champion, WWE stripped it of him when they changed his look. They put him in regular black trunks. They took away his shorts style trunks and put him in regular black trunks too. And let me just move on. Drew McIntyre, too small. Evan Bourne, too small. If he makes his promos better, Ezekiel Jackson could be a megastar. Again, it has to do with look. Zeke's not that great on the mic. He has a presence and he has some charisma. You've seen it shine through when he's gotten a chance to express himself, although he doesn't get too much. He clearly has a potential to be something big. Again, he's got to work on his in-ring and kind of brush up on his promos a bit. But again, like I said with Otunga, he looks like a star. You look at, again, if you put Ezekiel Jackson next to The Miz, people will think, the average person will think that Ezekiel Jackson is the WWE champion. The average person, look at those two pictures, and you say, which one of these guys is the WWE champion? The average person is going to point to Ezekiel. They're not going to point to Miz. I mean, you know, that's kind of part of what makes it kind of hard for me to buy Miz as a champion. You know, I like Miz up until he won the title. As the U.S. champion, great. I personally, although I've liked watching him, I still have trouble buying him as the champion. I do think the Miz is just too small to be the WWE champion. A lot of people say they like him because he looks like them, that he kind of looks like the regular guy, and that kind of does something for him, but it just doesn't do it for me. Ezekiel Jackson needs to brush up on his skills a bit. He looks like a champion. You could put Ezekiel Jackson up there across from John Cena on the poster that says WrestleMania main event. It's totally believable. Heath Slater, too small, too generic. Husky Harris. With a couple more years of experience on his belt, he could be something big. Jack Swagger, same thing. Jack just kind of needs a gimmick change. But Swagger could be, I buy Swagger's champion. He's got the skill. His lisp kind of hurts him promo-wise. If he could work on that lisp or either get a manager, you might be able to do something with him. But, you know, but he could be, if you could just work on his personality-wise, I think he should be turned babyface. Let him be the new patriotic guy. Usos, they're a tag team, too small, kind of generic looking. If you're following along with me on the roster page, you notice I'm about to skip somebody, and it's the one that's gonna give me the most flack. I'm gonna come back to it. JTG, not buying it. Justin Gabriel, too small. Kofi Kingston, again, too little. Kind of made me wish there was still a cruiserweight title. At least he could do some good with that. But again, Kofi's just a guy. He's just too little for me to buy him as a world champion. I just don't see it. Let's see here. Ron Carey, Mason Ryan, Matt Striker, Michael McGillicuddy. Could pull it off with some practice. He got to get better. Tarver, he's got to get better. Primo. R-Truth, maybe. I'm iffy on R-Truth. Santino ain't gonna happen. He too much of a cornball. Sin Cara depends on. Let's see how he goes for a little while, and we'll see what they do with him here. Skip Sheffield, Ted Jr. Ted Jr. I think looks like he could be a champion. He has no personality. I mean, you got to give this digger a personality for. You got to use one of his daddies. Use some of his trust fund to buy a personality, and he might have some help. Trent Beretta, just looks jobber. Tyler Rex, no. He's just missing the it factor. Tyson Kidd, same thing. Kozlov, he's been goofy for too long. If you turn on him, make him a monster, try to make him a monster again, that could work. Wade Barrett, I believe it. I could buy it with Wade Barrett. I buy it with William Regal. Yoshitatsu, nope, too small. Zack Ryder, much as I love him, no. I just it would take a gimmick change. Zack Ryder would need a serious gimmick change. Much as I love Zack Ryder, I love his gimmick, but his gimmick isn't a world champion gimmick. It's a mid-carder, it's a IC US title gimmick. He could be the longest reigning US champion of all time, and he could do some great stuff, but woo woo woo, you know it. I love it, but it ain't world title material. And I skipped somebody, because I wanted to save him for last. Because I think I might end up with the most to say about this guy, and he's the guy that's going to get me the most hate. So let me check my time first. I'm at 22 minutes, and take a swallow of Gatorade before I get into this one. I just don't see him as world champion material. And all you going to hate me when I say it, but here it goes. John Morrison is not world champion material. He is too short. He is too small. He's a freaking X Division. He thinks he's the X Division champion. He has no personality. And even all the personality in the world will not make him believable. John Morrison, he could win the belt tomorrow, but he will never be seen as a credible world champion. Again, I'm sorry. I keep coming back to it. Put him on the poster across from Cena with WrestleMania main event written across it. I just don't buy it. And again, John Morrison is too short. John Morrison is too small. He does not look like a champion. He has a flashy entrance and some nice looking X Division spot monkey moves, but that doesn't make you a champion in the WWE. He could go to TNA. He wouldn't be champion in TNA. No. If John Morrison went to TNA tomorrow, I would make the prediction right now. He will never be world champion. He wouldn't be world champion in TNA either. TNA wouldn't even make him world champion because they know it ain't. Even they know he's not believable. He'd have a kick-ass run as the X Division champion. I could I'd book John Morrison as put the X Division title on him in TNA. I let him run with that belt for like 7, 8, 9, 10 months. World champion ain't happening. He has no character, and his gimmick, whatever the fuck his gimmick is, in a world champion gimmick, he needs a lot of changes. He needs a real personality. Yes, he has a flashy entrance. I say this about him all the time. Yes, he has a flashy entrance. Yes, he can do some nice looking X Division moves, but he has no character. What of John Morrison as a person? Who is he? What is he about? What does he represent? What does John Morrison stand for? WWE has always built on characters. They are very much a character-driven company, which makes me wonder why I don't like them as much. But they've always been a character-driven company for their main events. Their main event guys have always been characters more than they were wrestlers. And Morrison's not even that great of a wrestler. Again, he's a spot monkey. He is such a spot monkey. He does a few basic moves, but put John Morrison in a match and tell him he can't do anything from the off the ropes, and then leave him that and see what else he can do. Tell him he's not allowed to jump on, to get on the turnbuckle or bounce off a rope or anything. That he's just got to get in there and wrestle on the mat and see what he can do. He just doesn't. He's not that great in the ring. His look is nice, but it's a little too skinny, a little too short. His promos are awful. He has no real personality. We don't know who he is. We don't know what he's about. We don't know what he stands for, and that is why John Morrison is just not world champion material, and I don't think he ever will be. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and await the hate that I'm about to get for this video, and I'm at 26 minutes, and that's long enough. So, this is the Shadow Ranger. Thank you for listening. If you don't hate me for saying that John Morrison isn't world title material, please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at TJSMITH3. Send me questions for my next Q&A. Alright, have a nice day.